There are many materials to build an aircraft: wood, metal, composite, and so on. But there was one plane that was very unconventional in this regard. And this was the GoodYear Inflatable aircraft, the so-called Inflatoplane. So let's see how this idea was conceived, and how is it possible to build a functioning aircraft which is inflatable in a few minutes. The original idea of an inflatable aircraft was not from GoodYear, and actually the idea was tested much earlier, way back in 1931, when Taylor McDaniels tried to build a plane out of rubber entirely. This idea had many positives. His glider was light, and even if it hit the ground at relatively high speeds, it was unharmed. This was actually demonstrated when on a test flight his glider reached about 80 feet of altitude, when the test pilot lost control and the glider crashed. It first hit the ground with its right wing, then with the canopy. The wing that bent at the time of impact snapped back to its place, and the test pilot luckily only suffered minor bruises. But the world had to wait for a real inflatable and usable aircraft for a few decades more, as the Great Depression hit the economy and McDaniels ran out of money. After World War II, the British experimented with an inflatable plane that can be carried on a submarine or in military vehicles. It used a fully inflatable wing with no braces in it at all. The test flights went well with the design, but the project was eventually abandoned. Later in the 1950s, GoodYear picked up on the idea of the inflatable plane, as they thought this idea could save lives. They envisioned this vehicle as a rescue method for downed airmen. To create the aircraft, the engineers at GoodYear used their newly developed material, the so-called airmat, which was basically 2 layers of fabric coated in neoprene and connected by nylon mesh. When inflated, this material became very rigid, allowing the engineers to design an actual working aircraft using it. The first design, the GA-33, resembled somewhat of the glider McDaniels built more than 20 years ago. It was built from the new airmat material, carrying a little 40 horsepower engine, which was mounted on top of the wing. The engine also powered the air compressor to maintain the pressure in the body of the plane. The tests went well, so GoodYear developed a more advanced design, the GA-447. The experiment didn't go unnoticed, and this model and the following ones were sponsored by the Office of Naval Research and the Army Transportation Corps. The following GA-468 was built with many improvements to the structure and landing skids. During testing, it was found the aircraft can still fly, even if hit by multiple 30-caliber bullets. This version was almost 20 feet long, with a wingspan of 22 feet. It could be inflated in about 5 minutes and had a maximum speed of 72 miles an hour and a range of 390 miles. The maximum load it could carry was 240 pounds. A bigger variant capable of carrying 2 men was developed as well, and received the company designation GA-466. It had a 6 feet bigger wingspan, as well as a stronger 60 horsepower engine. This variant was able to carry 2 passengers, but only had around 230 miles of range and 70 miles an hour maximum speed. GoodYear built 10 planes for the Navy and the Army for evaluation. Though the idea of supplying downed airmen with means to escape the enemy territory seemed like a good idea, but the reception of the program was not entirely positive. It was questionable that if a pilot was shot down in his supersonic fighter, then how much help a slow, low-flying, inflatable little aircraft would be in the escape. Also, the aircraft needed at least a 300 feet long field to take off, which might not be easy to find in every area. During the evaluation, 2 accidents also cast shadow on the project. GoodYear's test pilot successfully bailed out when the wing collapsed on his plane, but later an Army pilot wasn't this lucky, when during a test flight in a tight turn, one of the wings folded up and the pilot wasn't able to bail out and lost his life. The Army and the Navy wasn't convinced the inflatoplane would be any use, especially as rescue operations and helicopters became much more sophisticated. So the project was stopped at the end of the 1950s. The surviving aircrafts were donated to various museums. The inflatoplane started as a good idea, and who knows, maybe with more time and money spent, it could have been even better. but at the time, for its intended role, it was just not the right one. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please leave a like, subscribe to my channel, and in the comments let me know if there's any interesting events or vehicles you'd like to see.